Okay, so this is gonna be like super unflattering. I probably have bags under my eyes, haven't done my hair. I did shower this morning though. No earrings, no makeup. My house is a mess, hence why I'm sitting against a window on my bed. Sort of update, but I figured it would be easier to just videotape everything as opposed to writing it out because that would take me forever. So, I'm done with work this week. Yay! And it was, oh my gosh, it was a week. So many emotional ups and downs. I think that is right now for the most challenging part of being a nurse for me is just um, the wide array of hats that you have to wear in a shift, especially because I'm on an oncology slash med surge floor and we do palliative care, so I can have if I'm working like what we have, or like the palliative care suite, so like basically where patients are like dying, like all you're doing is comfort stuff. So I can have patients dying on one end of the hallway, and then I can have an angry person with like their foot falling off on the other end of the hallway, and then have somebody vomiting in the middle. I mean, it's such a wide array of patients, especially because of the socioeconomic area that I work in, and a wide array of medical conditions that it's exhausting going from room to room, having to, I guess, tailor my behavior and responses according to what that patient is experiencing at that point in time. And so, this week I was working the palliative care suite, which we also call the hallway to Jesus. So that, for me, is especially exhausting. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I don't mind it. I find it rewarding, and you just kind of get like in this mindset where, this is what I have to do, and this is what I have to look for, and I don't know, you just do it. And it's not, you don't really realize, at least I don't realize how mentally exhausted I am until, the end of the shift, and I'm just like, or I sit down to chart, and I'm like, my poker face has gotten a lot better since I became a nurse, that's for sure. Because, I mean, with those suites and with everything else, you just have to act so confident and neutral facially, with your facial expressions, with your responses. It freaking wears this girl out, especially because I'm just an emotionally sensitive person. But anyway, that was kind of the theme of my week this week. I'm gonna share with you kind of a funny story that happened this week, because I feel like I can talk about this without revealing any sort of sensitive patient information that might violate HIPAA. I said this in a text message to some of the people I used to work with at the pharmacy, because I still keep in contact with them. So I'm just going to read you that text message, because it kind of does a good job of explaining what happened. I always get the patients that poop. I don't know what it is about me, but like if somebody's gonna poop, it's gonna be under my watch. I mean, it's that way like down to when I'm home with my dog. If she poops twice during a walk, it's because I walked her or I went on the walk. She will only poop twice if I'm there. I don't know. I guess I have a relaxing effect on bowels. But anyway, so I said I have a newfound appreciation for mag citrate, which is what one of the pharmacists used to call rocket power in a bottle. I had a patient with severe abdominal pain, and an abdominal x-ray showed he was full of stool. The doc prescribed mag citrate. 2.5 hours later, there was still no poo. And this guy had already had like 2 enemas. He had had a mineral oil enema and a glycerin suppository, and he had not pooped. So doc went with the big leagues. So 2.5 hours later, after getting the mag citrate, there was still no poo. And this guy, who I believe was slightly MR, his brain just does not function normally. He was just like in bloated agony, hollering down the hallway because he refused to use his call light even though he knew how. I was the bigger person and called the doc at 12:30 a.m. to let him know about the patient's condition, and he said, I quote, "Well, let's just attack him from the other end." So he prescribed a soap suds enema, which is like the motherhood of all enemas. I it was like all it needed, all his bowels needed were a little lubrication, because 1 liter of sudsy water later out shoots a ball of poo even larger than a softball. I'm not kidding. You can't even make this stuff up. Let's just say we had to put in a maintenance order for the toilet because it was not going to flush after cleaning that guy up. Did I mention that he was incontinent? Like, he would know after he went, but he wouldn't know until after he went. So he would poop or pee or something and then holler because he knew he was wet. But yeah, so we decided to flush the stool ball down the toilet, and the toilet would not flush, even the hospital grade toilet, because it was that big. And then the mag citrate poo started to flow after we unblocked him. What's even funnier is that during that 30 to 45 minute time frame we were in his room giving him the enema, we also unexpectedly got a huge, thick, yellow-greenish sputum sample. I mean, it was like really thick. Like, I don't even think you could have suctioned that. And he had a condom cap stuck in his pubic hair that, thank God, this other nurse, I think she has boys at home, so she's not quite as like as I am when it comes to that sort of thing. And so she had to cut it out with scissors because it was all tangled. Oh, that poor guy. I felt so bad for him, and I'm sure I did a horrible job telling that story. But yeah, we shot a cannon of poo out of a guy's butt a couple nights ago, and I mean, I was just dying laughing. Like, you can't make that stuff up. Other funny things that happened this week are interesting. Oh, I try really hard to cognitively process a patient's response to their circumstances. I realized how much I'm like my dad in that I like thinking about what makes people tick. I like trying to make sense of their behavior. And so because we're in sort of a lower socioeconomic status area, most of our patients are Medicare, Medicaid, and we get a lot of patients that are angry, demanding, think the world's against them, drug seeking. We get a lot of sickle cell patients because we're on an oncology floor, which the typical behavior and lifestyle of a sickle cell patient that we get is frustrating for nursing staff because, I mean, I have no doubt that sickle cell is extremely painful, but a lot of them are drug dependent, non-compliant patients. I wouldn't doubt that a lot of them are selling their prescriptions. And, and I have this patient that, I don't know. It's hard for me to understand how people could be so angry and so hateful toward staff that are trying to help them. Yeah, I guess I just don't understand how people are so angry and so non-compliant. And for me, I know that statistically that does not represent the general population that's on government aid, but because that's what I see, it's difficult for me to be understanding and empathetic toward wanting these increases and expansions in Medicaid and whatnot, if that makes sense. And I'm working on that. So, like, with this patient that I had that was just difficult and non-compliant, it was a sickle cell patient. You know, I kept trying to think, like, emotionally, it was hard for me because, again, I just had to remain completely flat and non-responsive to her outbursts. And actually, surprisingly, I had a pretty good rapport with her because of that. When she would try to be manipulative or get a rise out of me or just stir up trouble, I just completely, like, no visual response whatsoever. You know, these are the hospital rules. This is what I'm enforcing. I guess a lot of consistency and how I responded to her through just having a flat affect and just consistently enforcing the same rules. For instance, freaking IV Dilaudid. She wanted me to give her IV Dilaudid and then flush her line after that, which she didn't need because she had IV fluids running, but I guess the faster you push it, it can make you feel high. And so basically, you know, I just told her, no, like, it's hospital policy. You don't need me to flush it because you have IV fluids running. So that's the sort of way that I responded to her trying to manipulate me to do these things to feed into her drug-seeking behavior. That, and then I'm discovering that if you can find things that patients like to talk about, for instance, she had a child. So if you can get her talking about her kid, or if patients have tattoos, they love to talk about their tattoos. So, pro tip, if a patient is angry and you're like giving them medicine or something and you notice a tattoo, be like, oh, how many tattoos you have? Oh, wow, that really must hurt. Oh, that's cool. Like, what was the inspiration behind that? I mean, I really am genuinely interested. Like, I'm not feigning interest to kind of de-escalate the situation. But for me, that works because you can find something, or I can find something that I'm interested in a conversation that I would want to have with that patient, and something that they're interested in and they want to talk about with themselves. So with that, like, I don't know, for her, I found the little buttons of things that made her happy and just turned her into more of a human-like person that I could relate to. And so when she would start to get angry, in addition to not responding to her anger, I would try to steer conversation in that direction, and that seemed to actually that worked pretty well. And also, if you have gum, patients like gum, I think that was the initial turning point in our patient-nurse relationship, was when I was chewing gum and she asked if I had gum, and I said yes, and I gave her a piece. I think after that, she kind of felt like, maybe I'm on her side because I'll share and I'll run and get her sodas and stuff. But anyway, I'm not really sure if that makes sense, but because I haven't given any thought to what I was going to say in this video ahead of time, and I'm sure I'm talking fast so that I don't forget anything. That's ADHD. But yeah, that was I'm working on going back to her. I'm working on having a better attitude toward patients like that are non-compliant and manipulative and drug seeking, because I don't know what they go home to. I don't know. It's just a really fine line between me feeling like in most people there's good in everyone. And most people are really just trying to do the best with what they have. And then also, there are people that are lazy and are just looking out for themselves and want to take advantage of things. So, I don't know. That's a dichotomy that I struggle with on a daily basis with nursing, and that was another thing that was just exhausting for me this week. And then I also had my first pull to another floor on Sunday, which was actually a really good experience. I like being floated, I guess. I mean, I was fortunate that my first pull was a good experience, but I like meeting new people and new nurses, and even though I really am an introvert at heart and I get home and I like to be home, I like to be by myself with my husband. I don't really like to go that many places. At work, I like being friendly with staff that I don't recognize and learning new ways of doing things. And even though I am a routine-oriented person, I also thrive from breaks in the routine. So again, being floated in that way was that was kind of fun. So that was my week at work. Oh, also, thank you so much to everyone who sent me messages about my ethical question about the 15 and a half week abortion. I respect a lot of your opinions and just the things that you've experienced in life, and I like hearing about them and having open-ended, friendly discussions about them. So I thank you for responding and messaging me with your feelings about the situation. I'm going to try to respond. I actually got a lot more messages than I thought I was going to. I guess I'm cooler than I thought. Just kidding. So I apologize for not responding to those very timely, but yeah, thanks for helping me see other sides to the situation. What else? I'm having an MRI on Friday for my hearing because I do have a chronic tinnitus in both ears, but it's louder in my left and my hearing loss is worse in my left, and I'm sure that the MRI is just going to show absolutely nothing because most tinnitus is idiopathic, so it has no known cause. But the fact that I also have gotten migraines since I was 9, I feel more comfortable just knowing that there's not anything growing up there, especially since it's gotten worse. And I've had to kind of put on my big girl panties and motivate myself to follow up on that because it's so easy to not be persistent with things that pertain to my own health. Because sometimes I just don't want to think about it, and so I put it off. So again, I guess that's one way that I can relate to my non-compliant patients. But I'm trying to be better about that. Also, this is week 1 on my new acne medication, and my skin is looking a lot better. You can't really see if I post pictures my acne because it's like the little bumps. And my front-facing camera on my phone isn't that great. But, oh my gosh, they're driving me crazy, and they're already better. I'm so excited. What else? I have an appointment with a new therapist on the 2nd, which is next Thursday evening, I believe. So that'll be good. I'm nervous, but I'm also hopeful. She's younger, and I got to see what she looks like ahead of time. And I know that like you can't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes you can. I feel like get a feel for what a person's like based on their website, the picture that they have of themselves, their experience. And even though I don't think she really specializes in eating disorders like I was hoping to find somebody, because her partner in her office does, but I think she's out on maternity leave. She specializes in a lot of things that are still pertinent to my past struggles. And that feed into my eating disorder. So that will be exciting and helpful. I'm trying not to think about it too much because I've had disordered eating since I was 14, and at times I'm just not hopeful that it's going to get much better, especially because I don't think that the type of radical behavior interruption and intervention that I've seen in success stories, such as, okay, well now I'm going to residential. I don't think that would be appropriate for me at this point in time just because of my job and my marriage and the fact that I am, knock on wood, functioning pretty well, and my health, I haven't had labs drawn in a while, but my health is decent. So anyway, I'm hoping that maybe if I can just find the right therapist and kind of work on things slowly, change things slowly, make or create a greater awareness of what I'm doing and implement realistic changes gradually. I'm hoping that that will help, because even if I have some form of disordered eating for most of my life, I don't want it to be at the same degree that it is now, because I feel like it's holding me back. And, you know, for instance, I had a nightmare last night about my eating disorder. I mean, it negatively affects things, and there are experiences that I want to have that I don't feel like I can have when I am this chained down by my eating disorder. So, yeah, hopefully therapy will help. And if I want to have babies someday, I don't want to be at this point too, because, you know, my worst nightmare is that our future children are going to also develop an eating disorder because of my behavior. I mean, that's kind of how a contributing factor to how mine started, because my mom was bulimic in high school, and she had pretty disorder eating up until her and my stepdad had been married a couple years, so probably till I was like 8 or 9. So yeah, therapy. So what did I talk about? I talked about my week this week at work, putting on my big girl pants. My computer just got dark. Cool. Okay. Putting on my big girl panties. Then taking care of my health. I'll be cleaning most of the day today. My house is so gross. Oh my word. I feel like I'm always cleaning, but I am always cleaning because our apartment just gets messy really fast, especially with 2 animals. It's disgusting. But obviously I'm not too motivated, but it needs to be done today, like bad. So, yeah, I hope everybody has a really good day and is not going to judge me based on the fact that this is a horrible computer angle. I swear my cheeks aren't puffy. I know someone on once said, oh, your cheeks are obviously really puffy. I just have a square-shaped face and this is a bad angle, okay? My hair and, you know, whatever, but it doesn't matter. We're all human. So have a great day, guys. If you watched all of this, awesome. If not, I don't blame you, because 25 minutes of me doing unplanned rambling is a long time. You could, like, have watched an episode of The Office or Parks and Rec in that period, and it would have probably been a lot more entertaining. So, happy Thursday. Stay positive, listen to good music, snuggle your animals. I love you all. Bye!